so old, in love with Elijah Wood. But hey, you know, why not? Like hours and hours with crayons drawing their hair. Wow. Hello, how are we? How are you? What's going on? How's your world? Welcome back to NATALKA Design. My name is Natalia. Let's do this. So this one came to me as an inspiration from our lovely team member Ryan, who's our comms manager, because I was a bit stuck recently. I was like, Ryan, what can I talk about? Give me some ideas. And he was like, well, talk about how, like, what inspired you to even draw? Like, go way back when. I was like, that's actually cool. Like, you never really talk about where did that come from. So, okay, Ryan, today we're gonna talk about what inspired me to draw. Before we get into it, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, hit the bell button, share with your friends, shout about it, because the more you do that, the more we feel like you want to see us, you want to see my face, and you want to get some creative inspiration from our little YouTube channel. So if you're new here, subscribe and let's do this, familia, let's do this. So recently, actually, I've been interviewed for a podcast and I was asked kind of, you know, how was it growing up, where I was growing up in Poland, and, you know, how did I start drawing? And actually it all connects now, because when I think about it, the first thing that came to me is I was growing up in a very simple small town in Poland back in the days, you know, 80s. Not much visual stimulation around you. So I always think, like, what would be my life if I grew up in Paris, or if I grew up in New York, or in London, actually. You know, the amount of beautiful architecture and art everywhere, and beautiful things in shops and all that stuff, kind of, I feel like whether you want it or not, it inspires you. That's one of the main reasons as well why I stayed in London, because I love it. It's always something new. Every street has something to give, and you always feel like you're discovering the city from the start. But where I grew up, there was not much visual stimuli around me. So it's almost like I had to create it for myself, I feel. So number one thing I would say, you know, how I started drawing, what inspired me to do that was to kind of find my own kind of inspiration and visual stimulus that will help me to grow and be creative and relaxed and happy. Actually, you know, having kind of the lack of that made me, I think, create more imagination around me and create more opportunities to try something new. You know, if we would go somewhere and run around and play, we had to obviously imagine all these amazing things around us and just kind of create. So the same with drawing, I felt like I want to create a beautiful, visual, colorful world around me, and that was very accessible to me through paper and through pens. Of course, there was no iPads or anything like that back in the days. I sound so old. I'm not. I'm grateful for the fact that I grew up in a very simple setting, not much around me apart from the actual town and the nature around the town. Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know, and I find it like, I used to be a bit like, oh, what would be my life if I grew up in Paris? And now I'm like, no, that's actually cool. That made me who I am. That created this focused funnel of let's create something visual and wonderful. Well, of course, I have to mention a huge inspiration for me to actually start drawing were Disney and manga. I can't ever tell you enough how Disney literally inspired my creation, my love for drawings, my love for character design. I was enamored with Disney movies and short films and everything they did. You know, one of my favorites still tales up till this day that I had on like VHS. I'm not old, let's not go there. Do we know what's VHS anyways? So my favorite was Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and I was just like, wow. You know, of course, let's not forget that was literally all that we had then. Now I'm loving Tangled and Brave, you know, and Moana. Like, those stories about women are so much more powerful. We're not going there now. But yes, Disney was just so inspiring for me. I copied drawings for hours. I was drawing. And, you know, from copying, I started doing it on my own. I started looking at things without actually tracing. And then I moved to my own kind of drawings and explored what is my style and, you know, making mistakes and drawing again. So Disney was huge for me. Manga was huge for me. Manga and anime from Japan, especially Naomi. No, what was it? What was her name? Naoko Takeuchi? I'm not sure. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering her name. Sailor Moon. That was huge for me. It was, I don't know, for some reason it was big in Poland. We had Dragon Ball Z, we had Sailor Moon. Oh my god, I loved Sailor Moon. Everything around it was just wow. I had all the books. I was drawing it for hours. I was making my own cartoons. Oh my god. Guys, this is like prints, by the way. But this is just to show you kind of my life back then. It shows, what's the date? I don't even know, like tiny. This was for my brother because he loved Dragon Ball. So I literally drew for him the main characters and he still has it on his wall. And another one, Looney Tunes. I really loved all the Looney Tunes characters. It was funny, it was entertaining. I learned so much about mimics and expressions and how they create movement in their drawings. I was just so drawn to all that world, and I can say very confidently I spent more than 10,000 hours literally drawing and being in my own world because it was just, I loved it. It was everything I wanted to do. And that takes me to the next one. So as I mentioned, I love the fact that when I drew, I was creating my own world. I was creating my own zone. I was literally zoning out for hours. I could just spend like, you know, whole day drawing with breaks for food. And I was the happiest person, you know. There was something about finding your own space in it, being relaxed, being, you know, just you and the paper, because that's what it was. There was no beautiful digital technology yet around me. When paint came one day to our old school computers, I was like blown away. And my friend got it as first kind of in our friend group, and I was like, wow, what's paint? Oh my god, you can spray things, colorful things on the screen. I was just like in shock. But yeah, I love the fact of creating my own world, and I'm hoping you can relate to that when you do something that you really love, whether that's writing, whether that's photography, dance, cooking, knitting, I don't know, anything that you love, walking, you feel like in that zone and you feel very kind of, I'm in my bubble, and that was very special for me. I think I also really loved the fact that I could see progress. I wasn't aware of it because I was a kid when I started drawing. It was like ages ago. But you know, when you really start doing something and you see that you're getting better, it just really, I think, motivates you and gives you that extra kick. And suddenly, I don't know, when I realized that I drew the hand really well after 20,000 times trying to draw the hands, I can still never draw the hands. Like, I'm so bad, I need to get better. If you guys have any courses on how to draw a hand, please let me know. I would love to do them. But yeah, it was just, seeing the progress was very exciting. And of course, when you look at your old drawings versus now, you're like, wow. To be fair with you, I really want to get back to drawing more characters and more people. I love drawing people. I love drawing faces and portraits because I feel like I could again get better, and you know, I kind of stopped that at some point. So I want to push myself and put it in my kind of to-do list as to create that as my hobby, you know, to come back to drawing portraits and characters, because I really loved it and I want to get better at it, because you can never learn enough. And I follow so many Disney animators now and everything, and they constantly train. They constantly, every week they have these, you know, sessions, for example, at their offices where they draw people's bodies and they draw how they move, and they constantly learn and get better. There's never stopping and kind of like, I'm great now. That is very motivating to me. And you know, I could always say an excuse of I'm like busy, I'm tired, but actually I want to do it. So I just need to get on with it, turn off all my phones and do it. Side note. Do it, don't stop your hobbies, continue and progress. And last thing that really, I think, inspired me to draw was the fact that coming back to Disney, I was so hoping, and I was always dreaming of becoming a Disney character animator, sketcher, illustrator, you name it. So I always dreamed of getting a job like that. Now, not to sound a bit like nostalgic or anything, but where I grew up in Poland, there wouldn't be, you know, at that time a offer or a place for me to study that easily and to develop my skills like that. So I was always feeling like, wow, there's this world in USA where, you know, people study that, how exciting, how amazing. And yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't my path. I didn't end up going anywhere that far to study, but I've always wanted to do that. It was always my dream, like one day I'll be a character animator. And you know, I follow all these amazing Disney animators on Instagram. I'll pop a few names down because they're amazing. Just even if you're not into that, I think you would really enjoy following people like that, because if you're at all into creative process and creation and, you know, art, you'll find it very fulfilling to see how people work and how they create from something to this, and see their, you know, process and how they work and their thinking. So yeah, if anyone out there is from Disney, please hire me. I'm still open. I run a successful business, but I'm still open to that. The closest I got into, let's call it my dream of, you know, working with Disney is actually as a business. We worked with Disney, which was fabulous. In London, there was, you know, an internal kind of meeting of the team and everything, and we worked that day with Google and Disney. And I got to go to Disney offices in London, and I was just like, I didn't even care what's going on. I was like, wow, this is the best day of my life. And yeah, that's that. By the way, I never still went to Disneyland, and I need to do that near Paris when it's okay again, because I feel like I'll be like, so these are my few reasons why I started drawing, what inspired me to draw. I'm very curious in your world, whether you draw, whether you do something else, whether, you know, you have another skill that brought you somewhere with it. What inspired you to do it? Like, share with us. This is super interesting, because there's always these little triggers and moments and reasons why. And, you know, please share your thoughts in terms of what inspired you to do what you're doing for your hobby or your work. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. That made me very nostalgic, and that made me very much feel like I should go back and just draw now. So I'm just gonna do that. Bye!